Hey guys, a little change of setting just because I told you guys that I've been having muscle spasms in my neck and they're just getting really bad when I'm just sitting there. So um, this is going to be roughly edited. I usually like to edit my stuff really well so that I could cut out a lot of stuff that I don't like and mess ups and stuff. But I'm going to limit my editing today just because I can't be sitting there for very long. So I apologize for the quality of this video. Hopefully it's not too bad, but yeah, I'm just so used to editing that whatever. But anyways, the next race I'm going to talk about is the Bosmer, or the Wood Elf. You're going to see me reading some of my notes because there's no way I could remember all of this, so I have my notes right here. The Bosmer are the people of the forest. They're the elves that pretty much live in the forest. They're very quick and agile. They're not as tall. They're slender and kind of short, so that's why they're so quick. They make the best archers out of the other races, but they also make pretty good thieves. Just because they are pretty since they're so quick and nimble, they're pretty hard to spot and stuff. So they make some good thieves as well. They're from Valenwood, which on the Tamriel map is on the south. Like on the southwest side. It's mostly forest there. It's mostly dense forest. The Bosmer refer themselves to tree sap people because tree sap to them represents it represents wild vitality and youthful energy, and that's pretty much what the wood elves their personality is. They have a lot of energy. They're very quick. And they're very active. When it comes to the, like say the High Elves, the Wood Elves are very different because they don't like that rigidness that the High Elves have. They're not so traditional. The Bosmers aren't as traditional, especially when it comes to that style, so hardcore and so civilized. The Bosmer are more, they like to be more free, more they like to, they like to be active. They like to be out in the wilderness and stuff. One of the gods that they mostly, they highly worship is called Ylfir. And this god is known as the storyteller. Because Ylfir basically taught the Bosmer all the lessons that they know. And they believe that before creation, there was pure chaos. And because of Ylfir's stories, the Bosmer still have like even though they didn't live it, they still have like a type of memory of this chaos period. And they have this ritual that's called the Wild Hunt that's pretty weird. It's pretty weird and gruesome at the same time. Basically, what it is they do the Wild Hunt. They do this ritual after each era. But also, like if they feel like outside forces are gonna invade Valenwood and invade their home, they go into this Wild Hunt mode. It's like they almost turn vicious. It's like they turn vicious. And they kill all of their enemies, they eat them, and then they kill themselves. Eat each other. So it says that they become bloodthirsty monsters who first consume all of their enemies and then themselves. So it's almost like they prefer to just be wiped out by their hand and not by some invader. So the Bosmer are religiously carnivorous and cannibalistic. So they eat meat and they do eat themselves. They're religiously carnivores because of what's known as the Green Pact that they did with Ylfir, the god. Basically, the god is like the god of like nature and all this stuff. And since they live in nature, the god was like, you're not supposed to eat anything that is from like anything like a plant. You can't eat anything that has to do with plants. You can't even cut down trees or anything like that. You have to have everything that comes from nature is excluding animals. This is like stuff like plants and, you know, everything given from the soil. They're not supposed to eat it, or they're not supposed to mess with it. They're not supposed to kill it. So that's why they only eat meat. And actually, the weapons that they have, like the bows, their bow and arrows, they're not made out of wood, because that would mean that they would have to cut trees down and that stuff, that type of things, and they're not supposed to do that. So most of their weapons are made out of bone, or they also use stone, it's things that are made of stone or steel, but nothing made out of things like wood. And I mean, it's kind of like, ooh, after every fight that they have, like when they go out to fight someone or an enemy, it's almost like a hunt, because they fast, they don't eat before they go on this fight, and when they come back, they have like this huge like dinner party thing with all the other Bosmer, and they eat their enemies. So yeah, it's kind of like, wow. So they're a pretty interesting race. Very out there, I will admit, but they're still interesting. So let me talk a little bit about their stats in Elder Scrolls, Skyrim. So if your playstyle, if you want to do like, if you want to be like an archer, or they're pretty good at that, and they're also pretty good at thieves. If you want to be a thief, so they start off with +10 archery. This is considered a warrior playstyle, archery, and it was different from the other Elder Scrolls games. From I think it was called Marksman before, and it's different because now archery is considered a combat skill, not a stealth skill. So that's why it's considered to be a warrior playstyle instead of like a stealth playstyle. The only details that have been released about archery is that the bow will take longer to pull back but do more damage, and that holding the string back will drain your stamina. And it's the bow and arrow is also going to act more like a long range, high precision, high damage weapon. So it's not going to be like short to mid range weapon anymore, like the past games. And you do, like all the other skills, you do get you do get the perks. So when it comes to archery, you will get perks that will where you could zoom in, or you could hold your breath, slow motion, that type of stuff. So that sounds really, really interesting. They get +5 alchemy, which is also another mage crafting skill. +5 light armor. This is usually thieves wear light armor. +5 lock picking. This is also another thief playstyle. Not just the thieves could do this, but I'm just saying that this is, you know, these are the skills that usually are associated with that. You could choose however way you want to play, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what playstyle benefits mostly with these skills. Lockpicking is going to be more it's not going to be like Oblivion, it's going to be different. It's going to be more like Fallout 3, if you've played Fallout 3, where you have to find, like, you put in the lock, the pick, and then you start finding, like, you try to find sensitivity points. In Oblivion, it was different. It was like these little things that they were more based on like precision and stuff. It was weird, but this is more like Fallout 3. And they come with +5 pickpocket and +5 sneak. So you could already tell that a lot of their skills are more geared towards your thief type of playstyle, or like stealth. And their special abilities are command animal, make an animal an ally for 60 seconds. And also you have 50% resistance to poison and disease. Now let's talk about the Dunmer, or the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves are from Morrowind. It's the continent, or the province. It's the province that is to the east of Tamriel, to the very east of Tamriel. They are the Dunmer, the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves are pretty. They're very well balanced characters. You could, when you're like, well, I kind of want to do this, but at the same time I want to do this. They're pretty much that race that could go either way. They have red glowing eyes, ash colored skin, so like grayish. They range from like gray skin to even like greenish and even light blue. They're extremely strong, intelligent, and very quick. I was talking about my previous Elder Scrolls that they are a cursed race. So they're not, it says that they're ill-favored by fate. And I explained a little bit about why they were cursed. They were cursed by the Daedra Azura. Azura cursed the Dark Elves were actually called Chimer before. I call them Chimer. I'm not sure if they're called Chimmer, but I think it's Chimer. They used to be Chimer. They used to look different. They betrayed their leader, Nerevar, and used the heart of Lorcan, the tools that the tools that could control and like use the heart of Lorcan. They used them after Nerevar said don't use it because it's just dangerous. And then Nerevar died, and the Chimer, the tribunal, these three Chimer said, screw it, let's use it. And they used these tools in the heart of Lorcan, and Azura was like, I'm gonna curse your race because you guys betrayed Nerevar, and you basically committed blasphemy because you guys turned yourself into gods. That's what the heart of Lorcan did to the tribunal. They turned them into gods, these three Chimer. But Azura turned them into, cursed them into the Dark Elves, the Dunmer. So they are considered a cursed race. When it comes to their personality, they're very grim, indifferent, and very reserved. They're pretty mistrusting of other races, and other races are very they're very distrustful of the Dark Elf as well, because they're hard to know. You don't really know a lot about the Dark Elves just because they're so secluded, so it's hard to trust them. The Dark Elves are one of the only races, and I'm talking about races, not just like cults here and there. I mean the whole race. I think very few of them don't worship the Daedra, but the race, the religion of the race is pretty much to worship the Daedra, and they are one of the only ones that worship the Daedra. The other ones worship like the Aedra, but the Dark Elves worship the Daedra and the Tribunal, those three guys that turn into gods. So that's another thing why the other races on Tamriel kind of don't trust the Dark Elves, because of their worshipping of the Daedra. So they make superior warriors, but they could also make really good sorcerers. They're balanced. They're pretty balanced when it comes to the sword, the bow, and destruction magic. So they make good sorcerers, and I don't say like mages just because they make better. They make better sorcerers because they focus more on offensive spells, like your destruction type of spells. So that's pretty much it for the Dunmer. I'm making this pretty short just because of, I can't do this for very long. But I really want to have you guys understand a little bit about them. Now let me talk about their skills, their stats for Skyrim. They start off with plus 10 destruction, which is what I was talking about. That's like that benefits your spells like flame, frost, lightning, that type of thing. They +5 alchemy, which is the mage crafting skill, +5 alteration. I went over that when I talked about the Altmer. And +5 illusion, also went over that with the Altmer. +5 light armor. This benefits the thief playstyle so that they can move faster, but it does provide less protection, obviously. And +5 sneak. So they do have, I think their stats, their skills benefit more the mage or the thief, not so much the warrior, but I think they would make pretty good mages, thieves, or like a mix of both if you want. They did mention that the sneak system is different from the previous Elder Scrolls games. It's more, I believe it's a lot of games are starting to adapt this type of sneak system where if your visibility is depicted through use of an eye that remains closed while they're not seeing you, you're undetected, and then but opens more and more as you become more detected. If it's fully open, then you're completely aware. The person is completely aware of your presence. And they also change, the people around you change modes, so they are, if they're unaware of you, they're passive. They do what they're doing. They don't know that you're there. But if they start becoming more aware of you, they start becoming more cautious. But the ability to notice you all depends on this sneak skill that the Dark Elf starts off with +5. Their special abilities, so one of them is Ancestor's Wrath, and that is enemies that get too close to you take 8 points per second of fire damage for 60 seconds. Resist fire, the Dunmer blood gives you 50% resistance to fire.